Manners in the family. The Filipino family is close-knit. Kumbaga, magkasing dikit. However, even though the family may be close-knit, each member is entitled to his full share of privacy. Number 1. Parents violate their children's privacy by opening letters addressed to their children. And also, young people also violate their parents' privacy when they rummage through personal belongings in search of shoes, jewelry, neckties, cufflinks, or other articles they wish to use. Okay, number 2. Every member of the family should have the privilege of entertaining his or her friends with a minimum of interference from the rest of the family, unless the occasion is a family affair. Okay, dito naman, minsan, they have the authorization na naaliwin natin yung mga friends natin, pero minsan din, napanghihimasukan tayo ng ating mga pamilya. Example, gaya na lang nito na tatanungin nila kung sino sila, kung anong ginagawa nila, kung anong trabaho nila. Ganun. Number 3, knock and wait for an answer or for a door to be opened before entering. Reply courteously to parents or to older members. Maging magalang tayo. Dapat tayong, kung tayo'y tinatanong, mag-reply tayo sa kanila. And number 5, use the magic words, excuse me, sorry, and please, as the need arises. And of course, pag nakakatanda, kailangan din natin mag-use ng iba pang mga paggalang like po, opo, or ma'am, sir, ganun. Number 6, never open your parents' drawer or bags without permission. Number 7, never use others' personal belongings for the sake of personal hygiene. So yun, wag nating gamitin yung mga bagay na hindi naman sa atin. Kasi nga, nakakabastos yun. Number 8, let your parents or at least a family members know when you have to leave. Number 9, avoid interrupting a conversation. So, ayun, huwag tayong mag-interrupt ng kung may nagsasalita, tatapusin muna. Kung hindi ka naman kinakausap, huwag mo isingit yung sarili. Number 10, never shout when something is being discussed. Ayun, pag tinatawag ka man or kaman nagustuhan, huwag kang sumigaw. Pwede mong pakalmahan muna yung sarili mo, then tsaka mo sila kausapin ng maayos. Okay. Number 11, when you get up from bed, leave it in order. So, kung anong ayos ng pagkapunta mo, dapat pag alis mo, dapat maayos din yung bed, yung gamit, commands. Okay. So, yun, yung mga 11 parts or mga parts para sa manners in the family. So, let's start naman with the table manners. So, good manners are a mark of a well-bred person. Good manners at the table differentiate a civilized person from an uncivilized one. At the table, good manners make meals more pleasant for others. There are 3 general rules that govern acceptable conduct at the table by Narva S. Soriano, 1982. These are, number 1, be thoughtful and considerate of others. So, dapat maging maunawain tayo sa iba. Handle your table equipment correctly. So, use wisely yung mga gamit sa mesa. Lastly, eat quietly without attracting attention and without being offensive to others. So, ayun, pag kumakain ka, kumain ka na lang. Huwag ka nang kung ano-anong ginagawa. Okay. So, each of these rules is made other more specific rules. Some of the suggestions for this are as follows. So, number 1. Everyone should come to the table topping the group. Dapat lahat pumunta sa mesa. Kailangan complete kayo. Hindi dapat na kakain ka kung gusto mo lang. Dapat kung naghahain sila, dapat andun ka. Dapat present ka. Number 2. Come to the table promptly when called. So, pag tinawag ka naman, pumunta ka. Hindi yung nagbibibingi-bilihan ka pa doon. Okay? Number 3. It is discourteous to make others wait for you and a sign of lack of consideration for the person who prepared the meal. So, guys, sa number 2, pag tinawag ka na, pupunta ka na agad. Hindi yung dapat na pinapantay mo yung ibang tao para maging pa-importante kang person. So, dapat, kailangan pag tinawag ka na, go ka na agad. Ganon. 4. Wait for others instead of rushing to the table ahead of them. When there are older or more important persons, permit them to proceed you to the table. So, dapat, hindi mo muna inuuna yung sarili mo. Pagkakain lang huwag mo unahin yung sarili mo. Kung may nakikita ka mga matatanda, paunahin mo silang kumuha ng mga pagkain. Number 5. Be seated only after all assemble at the table, and then sit down from the left of your side chair. Everyone sits down at the table at the same time. 6. When you are in a party, if you are a man, you help or assist the lady by pulling out her chair for her to sit. Number 7. If grace is to be said, let's sit or stand quietly while it is being done. So, pag mag-pray tayo, kailangan naman maging tahimik, maging quiet lang. Yun nga, quiet, maging tahimik, tapos umupo ng maayos, or tumayo ng maayos. Number 8. As soon as you are seated, keep your hands on your lap and your elbows close to your side, so as not to interfere with someone next to you. 9. Put your napkin on your lap. Large napkins are partly unfolded. Small napkins are completely unfolded. At the end of the meal, lay the napkin at the left side of the table setting. And number 10. Do not blow your soup to full it. Wait until it is cool enough to eat. 11. Be observant of the needs of others. See that food is passed to them. Do not serve yourself first unless the hostess asks you to do so. So, ayun, maging observant tayo sa paligid natin. Pag hiningan ka ng help, like, pwedeng pakipasa itong isang bagay. Dapat ipasa mo sa kanila. Tapos, tsaka mo na lang isi-serve yung sarili mo pag may nagsabi na. Number 12. Sip soup quietly at the side of your spoon. Do not go it since this is repulsive. So, nakakabastos daw pag linulunok mo yung soup. So, kailangan hipan mo muna. Isip mo lang siya ng tahimik. Huwag mong lunukin kasi nakakabastos. 13. Keep your share in the conversation but avoid talking about unpleasant or objectionable topics. Examples are illness, operation, etc. So, huwag kang magpa-OP or huwag mong i-out of place yung sarili mo. Dapat maki-join ka din sa kanila, pero huwag mo namang babanggitin yung mga bagay na unpleasant para pagkain kasi nga nakakabastos. Okay. Number 14. Apologize in the event of an accident and then try to forget your disaster. Ayun, humingi ka ng sorry pag nakagawa ka ng kamalian. 15. Never reach or grab for food. Request pleasantly what you want. Pag kailangan pag gusto mo pa yung isang ulam, dapat i-request mong ipaabot. Hindi yung ikaw kukuha doon. 16. Manage your silver inconspicuously and learn the rules for its correct usage. Amin mo yung mga ways, yung mga patakaran kung paano gamitin para tama mo magamit. Or 17. After using the dessert, This dessert spoon, leave it on the open plate or lay it on the service plate. So, yun. So, yun, iwanan mo sa open na plate or ilagay mo sa service plate pagkatapos mo matapos. Yun, yung 17 ways para magkaroon ka ng table manners. And, yun, an almost automatic habit of most Filipino dinners, as can be observed often, is wiping plates, silver, and other utensils on the table. Caballero considers this as overkill, and affected manners of displaying gentility or obsession with cleanliness. He believes that it can be very insulting at a restaurant, much more at home. It is one habit that we should stop. By Phil Daily Inquirer, December 22, 1994.
Let us first dive onto our topic, conduct of a modest girl. The clue word in this is modest or modesty. Two terms means just the same. Modesty means being moderate in your taste, in your movements, and words. In my own understanding, a modest person is a well-reserved one that knows how to control her emotions, the way they act, the way they choose words, and the way they behave around the people around them. A modest person, especially a true Filipina, shows respect by wearing simple, appropriate clothes all the time that is not flashy and overly revealing. I'd like to cite an example on this one. When we go to an establishment like church, a Filipina should know how to wear accordingly. One should wear a dress that is not revealing, that is acceptable to the establishment that they are entering. Next is using jewelry and accessories properly, not too much, or too flashy. One would not wear too much jewelry to avoid accidents, to avoid stealing. But we should also wear jewelry so that we can enhance our physical appearance. Third is avoiding heavy makeup and loud, boisterous laughter in public, since this can put people off. Just like what I've said way before, I discussed how a Filipino shows respect. A modest person knows how to act to the people around them. This counts. A modest person should not laugh so loud, especially on public, because firstly, it is a public place and people are around you. Now let's move on to number 4. It is in speaking calm, pleasant tone without bragging about influential people she knows. Fifth, never using foul or inappropriate language in groups. Sixth, staying away from places where people drink excessively. These are considered dangerous. A true modest person knows how to choose the places they go to, and they know how to protect themselves from the dangerous ones that tempt them. Seventh, not accepting expensive gifts from men to avoid being manipulated. A true modest Filipina knows how to critique a man and not being swayed by just materialistic things like expensive gifts, rings, jewelry, or even money. Lastly, not fixing hair or nails in public places. This is why powder rooms or comfort rooms are created. It has also a purpose where women could fix their faces, their makeup, or their hair. All in all, these traits makes a modest girl respectable and attractive, decent man looking for a good partner. If one applies this to their personality, then it is more likely that they are subjected to being liked by men or by being liked by many, and then chances into finding a good partner. A subtopic onto the conduct of a modest girl is to taking a public or private vehicle. In this situation, discipline is a key to peace and order in a daily life situation. When riding a jeepney or buses or UV Express vans, we should wait for the designated spot, such as waiting sheds or bus stops. In that way, time cannot be wasted, and less accidents can happen as well. If you stay in a waiting shed or a bus stop rather than staying on the side of the highway, it's more likely that you'd find a vehicle that you will ride on. Next one is to allow others to get off before boarding. Third, we should pay our fare before going off. We should not practice or normalize the slang term or the things that other people do, which is 1, 2, 3, especially in jeepneys. A gentleman shows respect to women if they let a lady sit on his right, but always, because it is always in the safer side. Next, helping a lady put his hand under the elbow when she enters or leaves a vehicle. Third, getting off first to offer his hand to the lady. And lastly, a lady with a chauffeur always sits on the right side of the rear seat, sitting properly with hands and knees in the place. If we practice all of this, we can have a peaceful ride when we are commuting, especially because we interact with a lot of people and a lot of strangers. With this, if we practice waiting on a bus stop, if we practice waiting before getting in and paying our fare, then it is less likely to get in trouble. Let's move on to our next topic, which is dating. Dating has changed over time, and parents now mostly teach young girls how to be responsible instead on relying on chaperones. This means that over time, the traditional ways of dating has changed, and now parents trust their teen young girls to go out and enjoy life of dating freely without them worrying about them doing something wrong, because they now teach them how to behave accordingly. A girl's chance to date alone depends on her maturity and community actions. At 14, girls may go out in groups or to early movies or parents. This is the first stage onto dating. They go out in groups, not in solos, because that is one rule parents apply so that they can avoid trouble, and these teens will avoid doing things that they are not supposed to do. Parents should always know where their daughters are for their curfews. Usually, teens should be home by 10:30 or 11. Curfew is very, very important nowadays, and teens should always abide by it, because curfew is not like a jail time. It is a way to keeping them safe because of the cases of kidnapping nowadays, and parents having to add curfew for their young teens is a way for them to keep them safe. Next, let's move on to the dining etiquette. When dining with your date, a gentleman should hold her woman's chair and let her sit first. He should order her food before his, and all of us should always practice to do not talk when our mouth is full. Avoid loud eating noises, complaining about food services, and don't do the final cleaning of the food on the plate. Lastly, during the date, they should talk about happy, positive things during the meal. You see, dating is just a simple context, but it has a lot of things to follow in order to keep yourself safe from the dangerous threats that it gives. If we learn how to listen to the parents, to our parents, and follow their rules, their curfew, and to actually acting decent and modest, then dating is a simple context for us. So we must remember that being modest is a way onto being safe in the context of dating. So these two topics are just connected. The conduct of a modest girl is a practice, is a step up into being safe in the context of dating. Because at the end of the day, good manners speaks well than words. Thank you for listening.
Today, I have two topics to discuss. First is just funding on introductions and on addressing people that are not related to you. What do we really do when we are being introduced? First, we can say, I am very glad to meet you, Mr. or Miss, and then state their names. Or we can say, how do you do, Mr. or Miss? And then you can state their names. For example, I'm very glad to meet you, Mr. Angeles. We could say that. Second is, listen carefully when they state their names. When you feel like you've misheard their names, you could ask or say, I'm sorry, but I didn't hear your name right. We want to handshake etiquette. When a man is introduced to a man, they usually do the handshakes. When a woman introduced to a woman, they could handshake or they could choose not to. And when a woman introduced to a man should wait for the woman to initiate the handshake. And when she does, he should reciprocate. And when an elder is being introduced to younger, the younger one in Philippines, the younger one could bless or do the mano po into the elder to show some respect. And when a higher rank is being introduced to the lower rank, they should wait for the higher rank to initiate the handshake, because that is showing respect. Let's move on to our second topic, which is on addressing people who are not related to you. Age as a sign of respect. But this practice here in our country is very problematic, because the term we might use on addressing people as we perceive to their age, we might get offended. Use the term Mr. or Miss, Ma'am or Sir. It's better to use them than to offend someone. That's when we are really going to rise. There's an example here. A boy rises when he is introduced to someone. So, for example, you and your friend had a day out. Let's say, example, you guys hang out for a day, and then you saw your other friend. So you introduced them to your friend in the table. So it is necessary to rise when you introduce someone. Bring a room. A person should rise when a girl, woman, or older man enters the room. Third one, at a table. A man rises when a friend stops by to a table. He is seated at a hotel or a restaurant. Okay, let's move on to the manners on comfort room. There's an etiquette we should be following in a comfort room, because a comfort room is a public place with noise level. Do not talk or laugh loudly, as a message is intended only for a few people and not for everyone to hear. So when we are in a public place, CR specifically, we should lower our voice. Not just because the message is private, but also for respect to other people who are in a place you are in. Second is cleanliness. And if the comfort room is crowded, wait for your turn. Fourth is respect for others. If you are using the mirror to comb your hair or powder your face, be sure not to block the view of others. The last one is vandalism. Do not write the message on the walls or the doors because as I've said, the CR should always look clean and sanitary. Last topic that I'm going to discuss is the telephone manners. The phone manners should be applied whether it's personal or business calls. First is initiating a call. You should always greet the person and identify yourself first, especially when you are the one who called. Second, receiving a call. When receiving a call, a simple greeting like hello is sufficient, and you should not feel pressure to reveal your identity unless you choose to. Third one is ending a call. When we are doing something, you feel like the call is getting longer and longer, it is acceptable to say something like, I have to finish something at once, or may I call you back later because I am doing something right now? And then the general etiquettes in phone calls. Do not just slam the phone down. Second, do not speak too long as the phone are meant for communication. If you are taking a message, be sure to include the date and time of the call, the caller's name, the company, the phone number, the message detail, and your own name or initials, especially when it's a business call. Next, avoid unhelpful phrases like I can or I'm not sure. And lastly, remember to say thank you and goodbye when you are ending the call. That's it. Thank you for listening.
Here's are some examples of good manners in the public place. Number 1 is in the street. The street is known as a public place. When we are there, we are expected to be behaved. It is important to avoid unnecessary attention by shouting or behaving rudely. Instead, walking properly, respecting others, and shows courtesy and discipline. I will give you some example of good manners in the street. A person walking quietly in the sidewalk, avoiding bumping into others, not talking loudly, and respecting people's personal space. At Mass or inside the church. The church is a place of worship, so it should be quiet and solemn, not for socializing. Proper attire is required. Avoid revealing or inappropriate clothing like the backless dresses, bare midriff, low necklines, micro miniskirts, and shorts. Be punctual. Avoid attracting attention when entering. Walk quietly. Choose your seat properly. And avoid loud greetings. Show respect with simple gestures like a bow or a smile. Talking loudly, laughing, or unnecessary actions are considered disrespectful in church. In assemblies, people gather to learn from speakers. Good manners include staying silent and listening carefully, sharing ideas when needed, not leaving during the talk, clapping to show appreciation. I will give you some example of this. Number 1 is the community gathered in the barangay hall to hear the mayor's message. Number 2 is teachers and students are clapped after the guest speakers talk. Number 3 is parents attend the school assembly to support their children's achievements. Hotels and restaurants. While waiting for the waiters, avoid loud conversations. Order a drink while waiting. Be polite at the information desk and reserve in advance if needed. An example of this is instead of snapping your fingers, wait for the waiters to notice you, then be polite to ask for the menu. Fiesta, be friendly. Help the hostess. Dress appropriately. Don't take the food home unless offered. Bring a gift. Example, when attending a fiesta, bring a small gift.
Now, let's proceed on conduct in public under human relations. I have some few examples here. I will read and I will explain later. First, formal concert. When addressing people not related to you, use respectful words. For example, ma'am, sir, miss, and mister. They show courtesy and make others feel respected. And another example, clap on time. Yung sisigaw ng sisigaw ka, and they show respect on the performers and even in the audience. Watch your words. If you want to cheer them, use appropriate words in yung putang ina, ang galing. Hindi ganun. And next example, formal reunions, dibo, and wedding ceremonies. Proper attire is important. Dress appropriately. Follow the program and always greet people politely. For example, avoid gossip and conflicts. Hindi yung nakita mo yung kinakaingitan mo na tao kasama mo sa event is dun ka na magchichismis or you gossip them. Iwasan yun and participate sa mga games, ganun, and at sa mga gawain na yun, they show na you support the program. And of course, limit alcohol intake. Hindi yung, sige, lasing ka ng lasing at mamaya magwawala ka sa event. Next, vacationing with the family. Follow house rules, be mindful of cleanliness, make them feel appreciated. Kung may dinala yung kapitbahay mo or yung friend mo na pagkain, appreciate it. Hindi yung sasabihin mo na, ang tabang naman ng spaghetti mo, mare. Na ganun. And follow the plan together. Everyone should agree sa mga budget. Dapat hindi mo ipipilit yung gusto mo. Kung ano ba yung gusto ng nakakarami, yun ang sundin. And be punctual. Follow the agreed time for trips, meals, or tours. Hindi yung ikaw yung magpapalate or magpapa-important in other terms. Yun lang. I hope you learn something new that you can apply in your real life.